Hey everyone, welcome to another edition of Medicare Monday. I'm your host, Joseph Katz, here again with Richard Chan, CoverRight CEO. How are you, Richard?
Good, Joseph. Good to be talking about Medicare again.
Always. That's the topic we cover the most. So a couple of weeks ago, we talked about the best Medicare Advantage plan and how to figure out what's right for you. So I figured we balance the scales a little and talk about selecting the best Medicare Supplement Plans, or also known as Medigap plans. So a little different situation here. So how do you define best in this particular case? And, how would someone decide on which one to take?
Yeah, so there's probably two different, I'll call them vectors or ways to assess a Medicare supplement plan in terms of what is best. The first is comprehensiveness of coverage. So there are different plans within the Medicare supplement umbrella. Some are more comprehensive than others. And so you could see it from the world of which one is most comprehensive. And so therefore you might decide that's the best. And then the second vector is once you've decided on which plan suits you in the context of how much that coverage is and whether that suits your needs, then it's what's the best within that subcategory of plans. And in that one, that's a lot simpler. Typically that's price because they are all federally standardized.
So every plan N is going to cover the same coverages.
Yeah. There are 10 standardized plans available to people who are newly eligible for Medicare now. There used to be more. Some of them have been phased out. There are 10. Of those 10, two plans are the most popular. The first is the Plan G for Gary. The next one is Plan N for Nancy. G is the most comprehensive now that you can get, and then N is the next most comprehensive.
So basically, once you've decided on which coverages you want, you just look at the price in your geography and select the lowest cost, assuming you have no major issues with the carrier.
Yeah, exactly. So, Plan G, and the way to think about the supplement plans is when you get a Plan G, for example, the only real cost you're worrying about year in, year out is the premiums that you're paying, as well as there's a small deductible called the Part B deductible, which in 2022 is $233. And then basically that's your maximum exposure of the medical and hospital costs. Once you start going below that, then you'll have other copays. So for example, for the Plan N, the N also has that deductible, doesn't cover, and then there's two differences. The first is there are some small copays when you go see a doctor. It's up to $20 for an office visit, and then up to $50 for an emergency room visit. Those are small copays there. And then the second thing that the N doesn't cover, which is rare and not as common, is it's called the medical excess charge or Part B excess charges. And what those are is if a doctor doesn't accept the Medicare approved rate, then they're allowed to charge up to 15% on top of the Medicare approved rate, which you would be responsible for. Again, not very common. Like 90% plus of doctors will accept the Medicare approved rate. So for most people, it's not a real consideration. It's really, whether they're happy to pay that copay. And it's a trade-off on pricing. And so, for example, when you're comparing the G to the N, some people are happy to pay the extra, call it $30, $40, $50 a month for that peace of mind that they're fully covered. Some people might go, okay, $50 a month times 12 is $600 a year. If my copay to see my doctor is $20, I have to see my doctor 30 times to make up that difference, basically, and sort of do the math that way. So it depends on what you think's right for you.
And unlike Advantage, you can use, Advantage, you can't switch. You're in the plan. Can you switch between G and N?
You can, yeah. If you are already in a supplement plan, you can switch at any point during the year. The only qualification is that unless you're in a state which has an exception, you'll have to go through medical underwriting, which means you have to answer health questions. But assuming you pass that, you can switch at any time during the year.
Which is a good segue to a topic we covered a few weeks back on the guaranteed issue period. Obviously, if someone's thinking about supplemental coverage, they should do that during their first 6 months of being on Medicare Part B. so they don't have to go through underwriting and they get the guaranteed lowest price in their geography.
Exactly. Yeah. If someone is turning 65, and particularly if you have some health conditions or you need to have surgery, in the next couple of years, it's best to get the supplement during that time because, again, like you say, they can't ask you health questions. They have to give it to you at the lowest rate. And yeah, our recommendation always is if you're indecisive between Advantage and supplement, you think, both could work for you, like try the supplement first because you can use that guaranteed issue. And if you don't like it, you think it's too expensive, you don't use it enough, like down the road, you can always switch to an Advantage plan where there's no underwriting. They always have to accept you.
Right. It's easy to go from supplement to Advantage, then Advantage to supplement, unless you're
Correct.
perfectly healthy and there's no issues for them to worry about.
Yeah.
Any final thoughts or recommendations as it relates to picking a supplement plan?
Yeah, no, the only final one, we touched on it very briefly, is like once you've picked one, then you're really looking at lowest price. That's going to be the case for 99% of the time. Like the only time we have seen people not pick the lowest price is one, they have a preference for a carrier for whatever reason. Even then, we would never recommend them pick anything beyond the lowest third or fourth option. And the second is there are household discounts available in Medicare Supplement. So if you and your spouse are signing up or you live with someone for more than 12 months who's over 60, some of these rules are available. You can actually get a discount on those plans. So it might be.
Oh, you hit mute. So the household discount is a topic that I want to cover in a future episode here. So we'll hold on that thought. But yes, thank you for that. The only other thing I would throw out there is if you're signing up for Medicare Supplement, make sure you don't forget to sign up for your Medicare Part D because it does not get bundled with the coverage, and you could make sure you avoid any penalties. Obviously, if you're also switching from Advantage into a supplement during an open annual enrollment, you should make sure to cover the same.
Yeah.
All right. If anyone has any questions about Medicare, about supplemental coverage, or any topics we've covered, they can reach out to hello@coverright.com. They can also check out the Learning Center, which is learning.coverright.com. We'd be happy to answer questions and advise in your specific situation. We appreciate you watching. Subscribe to the channel to get future updates. Richard, appreciate your time and insights, and looking forward to our next conversation. Have a great day.
Likewise. Thanks, Joseph.
Thanks, everyone.